Hey, good morning, everybody. Just going to move this up here. Hope you all were enjoying the nice, sunny, hot weekend. It's definitely been a hot one the last couple of weeks here. So, anyways, last week we discussed foreign taxes, speculation taxes, and uh, mortgage qualifications. So that sort of brought me to the topic of condominiums. Condominiums right now seem to be the hot topic just because, of course, they're a bit more affordable than a lot of townhomes and houses at the moment. They're a good barrier to entry for a lot of individuals. And because of those new mortgage qualifications that came into effect in the new year, it's made a lot of individuals, it's opened up the buying power in that sector because we've seen a lot of individuals that aren't necessarily able to qualify for houses anymore. They are moving towards the condo sector. So we've just sort of ushered in a large amount of buyers in addition to the first-time home buyers and investors. So we've got a lot of activity happening in the condo market while the housing market continues to cool down a bit, and especially the luxury markets. So that's what I'd like to get into today, as well as some of the micro statistics, just to give you a bit of an idea as to what went on in July and what the current state of the condominium market is at the moment, as well as I'll go over a couple of tips and suggestions when looking to purchase or sell a condominium and things to look out for when buying. So before I get started, I wanted to go over this quickly. So we've partnered up with Rome and reuniting owners with animals missing. They particularly operate within the island. They're a charity and they work by donation only. So I'd like to help these guys out as I feel they're doing a great thing. I have a couple of pets myself, and it would be difficult if they went missing, and would sure love some help and support when and if, and hopefully not, does happen. But if it does happen to you, feel free to reach out to these guys because they make it their mission to reunite animals with their owners. So it's nice that there's businesses out there that are helping the community in that fashion. So I would like to support them. So if you, what I'll do is in the comments below at the end of the video, I will put a link to their Facebook page as their website. And if you'd like to donate, or if you have any questions, or if your pet's missing, or if you think you've seen a pet that may be missing, give these guys a call and definitely support them. All the animals that are missing, that they're helping look for, are on their Facebook page and their website too. So anyways, yeah, that's Rome, and keep them in mind next time you run into an issue like that. So I'd just like to get into the monthly statistics here for the condominiums. I'm just going to adjust this so you guys can see the screen. All right. I'm going to cover that a bit. Put it around here. Okay. Yeah, so as you can see, so for the July mid-month statistics, I specifically chose condos under 550,000. I feel that's sort of where the majority of the activity is at the moment, as well as, those are the more affordable options at the moment. So if you look at July 2017 of last year, you can see that we had about a 1 month's worth of inventory. So to calculate monthly inventory, you take the total sales and you divide it by total inventory currently available on the market. That gives you the total month's supply of inventory. And that's an interesting metric, especially for us agents to use, because it helps us gauge what direction the market's going. So last year, 1 month's worth of inventory meant that if nothing new came onto the market at the end of July, you would have about a month's left of inventory before you were completely sold out. Whereas compared to July 2018, you have 3 months worth of inventory, which means that yes, we're getting the story is holding true in that lots of inventory is in fact stacking on the marketplace, giving buyers the advantage, heading towards a buyer's market. So at the 6-month range, that's sort of a balanced market at that point. Anything above 6 months is, in favor of the buyers. Anything below 6 months is, arguably in favor of the sellers. Of course, at the 1 month inventory level, that's heavily favoring the sellers. And at the 3 months, we're heading towards more of a buyer favored market. As more inventory approaches the market, there'll be more selection, less multiple offers, more negotiating happening. And that's when you'll start to see prices starting to dip down a bit. Again, another metric we use is days on market. So in 2017 for the condo market, $550,000 and below, average days on market was 21 days. So that's how long it took for an individual to sell their unit. Average 21 days on market, and that's crept up to 29 days on the market. So that is also, another good metric to see. It's taken a little bit longer for things to sell, and so it should, given that the inventory is starting to stack now. Average sale price, though, however, last year, which I think was a much hotter market, that was sort of heading towards the tail end, but still a very active marketplace. The average sale price for a condo was $352,000. When compared to 2018, the average sale price was $371,000. So inventory is up. It's taking longer to sell, but the prices are still up, and that just goes to show that the numbers do in fact tell a story, in that the condo market is still relatively active, likely because of the reasons I stated before. New demographic from mortgage qualifications, people not being able to qualify for townhomes or condos anymore, are heading towards the condos. Investors who are looking for investment properties, stuff with rentals, and first-time home buyers, it just being a great barrier to entry into the market for themselves. Okay, I'm going to switch over to the next slide. So here's the graph. Will give you guys a quick glimpse of this. This is the graph taking prices $550,000 or less. I took Victoria West, Oak Bay, Esquimalt, View Royal, Saanich East, and Saanich West. That came out to around 1,583 listings, and that was between July 2017 and August 2018. So took those metrics to gather the data that I'm sharing with you today. So as you can see, 3 months worth of inventory in July 2018 when compared to the 1 month of 2017. And during that entire duration, between July 2017 and July 2018, we never have seen it reach the 3-month mark. So you can tell things are shifting. There's the graph for the days on market. So looks like, sometime after October, in November, we had reached the 29 days on market metric there. Typically a slower time of the market, but you can see it sort of started to drop, and then it came back to the 29-day mark as of July 2018. So, and then looking at the average sales prices here, so you can have a look. If you take a look at the list price average versus the sale price average, you can see when the list price is higher than the sale price, that's usually an indication that stuff is being negotiated on, not necessarily as hot of a market. Prices are being listed at a specific price and being sold for less than what they're being listed for. Whereas if you see the yellow bar a bit higher here, that's when you know that that the market was very hot in those months. Stuff was selling for higher on average than what it was being listed for. So currently we're definitely listing properties a lot higher than what they're actually selling for. Another indication that the market is changing. Change this again. Whoop. There we are. Okay, so is it a good time to buy a condo? So buying a condo. So inventory has increased, but the condo sales still remain strong. So yes, you'll probably run into the odd multiple offer here and there. So yeah, be aware of the competitions. They are still happening. I'm not seeing anything go crazy over asking price, just stuff selling at asking price or fairly quickly. So it is still a bit competitive out there, but I am not seeing anything like what was going on last year. No crazy over asking price offers, and it doesn't typically happen on the condos anyways. So we've had an inventory increase, but the condo sales remain strong. If you are competing, I would recommend do not get involved with the unconditional offers. You need to do your research when you're purchasing a condo. There's lots of things to consider. You need to take the time to properly review all of the documents that relate to the building, the financials, the strata minutes, the depreciation report. The building health is more important than the unit itself, in my opinion. That's where a majority of the value is stored. So if the building's not in great condition, but the unit's beautiful, I would still stay away from it. You want to make sure that that building is in good health and it's properly run and there's not too many issues to consider. So when you're going to purchase a condo, there's some things you can do to help protect yourself. So in addition to having your real estate agent looking over the strata documents and going through that with you, There's third party sources where you can go and have them also do a bit of due diligence for you on the building, going over all the strata documents and whatnot. A lot of lawyers will offer this service. They don't necessarily go over everything, but they'll point out specific things that you should be concerned of within the building. And then there's a newer company that I just heard of, Condo Clear, and it sounds like you approach those guys, and they'll go through the entire strata document. They'll go through all the strata documents and help bring to your attention any major issues with the building that could affect you down the road. So it's nice to have that third party just for safety's sake. This is going to be a big investment, and you're going to want to make sure that you know everything there is to know about the building you're getting involved with, because there are a lot of older buildings that have issues here in Victoria. So you want to make sure you're doing the proper due diligence. So there's some things to look out for when buying a condo. Primarily, have a purchase a building that's purchase within a building that's close to amenities, schools, and the city core. I mean, location still holds true for regardless of what type of piece of real estate you're purchasing. But for condos, yes, you want to be closer to the core in terms of resaleability, in terms of renting, and just overall quality. You tend to have a much better lifestyle in and around those areas, and that gives you a plus ROI on your investment there. I would personally focus on buildings with unrestricted rentals. I've always found it interesting that buildings shut off or change the bylaws to not allow rentals or to allow some rentals. I understand why they do it. I mean, you don't want just random tenants coming in and out. You don't want people Airbnb the units too often. You don't want that stuff because it affects the building. I mean, you don't know who your neighbor is going to be a year from now. So it adds a lot of uncertainty to the complex. But, just to go off topic a bit here, personally, I've seen a lot of buildings that don't allow rentals, and I think it is a huge mistake. First off, I think there's a lot of value missing when you don't allow that the rentals to take place. The rentals add a ton of value to the building. You open up your demographic to an entirely new buyer and the investor, and that increases the demand and increases the value of the building. But as I said, I understand why you want to protect the building and its community. But I just think that if you could get a majority of these complexes to adjust their bylaws to allow for rentals, we would likely open up the door to a lot more housing, which we are suffering right now. We're suffering from limited housing in both, just lack of supply all around for seniors, for younger people, first-time home buyers, and just overall lack of supply in general. If you released that bylaw to allow for unrestricted rentals, I find that we would open up the gates to hundreds, if not thousands, of more units to the public. I think that would help the rental situation out tremendously. Something else to look for, look closely at buildings between ages 1985 and 2000. In the comments below, I'll post an article to the Wikipedia page that kind of goes over this era. It's called the leaky condo era. Between 85 and 2000, if it was a stucco exterior, there was a faulty membrane design that went in place through a lot of the buildings at that time. So the best way to look for that before getting involved with an offer or anything is just confirm with your agent or on MLS, is this building built between these times, and is it a stucco exterior? That's usually the quickest identifier when looking out for these types of buildings. The reason why you want to look into these types of building is because the membrane was faulty. It was causing a lot of water ingress in behind the stucco, damaging the construction material of the building, costing thousands, if not millions of dollars to certain types of buildings. And you have a contingency fund, yes, but that's an unprepared for expense, capital expenditure, which is quite the hefty bill. And typically, stratas aren't able to deal with this on their own. They'll require the assistance of all the units and owners within the building So typically how they deal with that is they'll take a portion out of the contingency fund, which is the fund that's built via the strata fee you pay every month. They'll take a portion of that, and then they'll take the remainder of the cost and they'll divide it up amongst all the units. So if you don't want to be getting involved in buildings that haven't had that finished yet. I would say look for buildings that have already been remediated and or plan or intend to remediate in the near future. And of course, you want to confirm that the building's got a healthy contingency fund. That's very important, just as I was mentioning above. The contingency fund handles all of the capital expenditures, such as the roof, the membrane, parking garage, whatever, anything to do with common property in the building that maintains its health. That is where the value is in the building, not particularly the unit. The unit does obviously have a value on its own, but if the building's not in good shape, then the unit, in my opinion, is useless. So, is it a good time to buy or sell a condo? Okay, well, we just went over buying. So selling. So yes, there's lots of buying power coming from an array of demographics now. As I mentioned earlier, you got lots of first-time home buyers, investors, and it's a great barrier to entry into the market for your average buyer. So, not a whole lot of advice to give here other than, be accurate and realistic with your pricing. I'm still seeing lots of multiple offers happening on condos. So that's a good sign if you're selling. Not a whole lot of, there is a lot of inventory currently when compared to last year. So still lots of selection. So you definitely have to have a strong marketing plan in place to assist you when selling your unit. You want to ensure that you are giving yourself that edge amongst the competition that's out there now for you guys. But I'd still say you're pretty safe. If you want to sell within the next, few months here, you're probably, pretty safe to do so. It's a hard one to gauge. I don't have a crystal ball, but, this, as I said, is the most affordable option. And just because the market's changing doesn't mean that people are going to stop buying. If anything, the buying power is still quite strong in this area of the market. And yeah, so that concludes what I wanted to discuss today with regards to the condo market. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments below. There's lots of things to consider when buying or selling a condo. I just went over a few of the major points there. But if you guys have any questions or if you'd like to discuss personally, please feel free to direct message me or leave them in the comments below, as well as for future content. I mean, I want to bring value to you guys every 2 weeks here. Every Tuesday at 11 a.m., I'm going to have a segment that goes over the market statistics as well as general real estate news. So if you guys have any suggestions for the future, please bring them to my attention and comment and leave a comment in the thread below this live feed here, and give me some suggestions as to things you'd like to hear in the future, or as if you just have any general questions. Anyways, thanks for tuning in, and until next time, we'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.